did walk out on 55 minutes, but it wasn't met with universal acclaim, that's for sure. I think a lot of the people who were left in the ground were kind of really against it. They booed that wee section. And it was just a kind of very kind of strange moment, really, of disharmony in the stands. So I think the vast majority of fans stayed in the ground, it's got to be said. It didn't mean that they're entirely happy with the current situation. That's true, because listen, the atmosphere today was really surreal, really weird. It was probably the quietest this place has been since COVID. I think the way I described it, my stuff was that Rangers fans giving the team the silent treatment. Mm-hmm. That Union Bears section, usually got a drum and they bang away and they sing away the whole 90 minutes. They were quiet. They stayed silent in protest for the whole time they were in. But the rest of the ground was also very quiet. It was very subdued, quite surreal.
Was there a lot of empty seats, Mick?
There was a good few. Do you know what? Not quite as many as I maybe thought there was going to be. Mm-hmm. I think there was probably 3,000 or 4,000 empty seats around the ground, which isn't, listen, this time of year, that's not that bad, to be honest, given the circumstances. But there was empty seats. Not en masse, not huge big swathes of it though. But yeah, just a very kind of subdued, surreal kind of atmosphere. Like, you can tell Rangers fans are not happy with the current situation. They've kind of fallen out of love with this team right now, and the manager's obviously seems to be kind of beyond the point of no return. There was times, listen, 3 goals in 9 minutes in the first half kind of lifted the mood a wee bit. There's a few wee sing-songs that broke out. Not an awful lot, right enough. Second half is pretty dire. I mean, St Johnstone pulled one back. They were better second half. It couldn't be any worse, to be honest, in the first half. But then the last half, and there was a bit of a non-event. So there was a few kind of subdued at that point. So yeah, it was really kind of quiet, kind of perfunctory afternoon for a lot of people. And this kind of protest it kind of backfired a wee bit on that group. I don't think it looked particularly great. It didn't go down well with the rest of the place. And the thing is, it jumps out for me is that in recent weeks there's been a lot of anger with Rangers fans. I think today the biggest danger was apathy. Mm. I think sometimes that's even worse than anger, isn't it? It's like it's all a bit fed up, kind of, and not particularly enthused by everything. And it was, apathy is a big danger in these parts now. I think, especially this gap being what it is.
Do you know what? I think I have to say on that. I don't think Patrick Stewart's helped. I don't think his intervention was particularly well thought out. And, you talk about the apathy. He needs to be really careful because he's obviously new in the position. And by the way, it will take him some time to find his feet. And we'll see, judge him by his actions rather than his words. But his words weren't particularly clever. I think telling a Rangers support, this Rangers support's been around for a long time. They know what they like when they see it. They know what they don't like. And there was almost a sort of sanctimonious tone about, we know best and we'll make the decisions in the best. But what you're telling the Rangers fans is that they don't know if Clement's a good manager or not. Mm-hmm. I'm afraid that Rangers fans have got a wealth of experience when it comes to judging what makes a good Rangers manager. Mm-hmm. There's a statue to managerial excellence outside the stadium, and it's a permanent reminder of the standards that are required. Philippe Clement falls so short of that, it's frightening. The Rangers fans could see that for themselves. They don't really need a chief executive coming in and telling them, you're all wrong, we know what's best. I think that might have added to that sort of feeling of apathy around the place, because if the guy in charge can't see what's required and isn't prepared to make the change, then all you can do is kind of shrug your shoulders and just wait for the inevitable. And I think there's a feeling of that at Rangers. They know they're not in a title race. There's no point getting hot and bothered about whether or not you're taking 3 points against St Johnstone or not, because it doesn't matter. And I think there's a lot of that just surrounding the football club just now. There's a lot of shrugging shoulders and a feeling that it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I get the feeling that the yesterday's address from Patrick Stewart was very much a kind of holding pattern, wasn't it? It was a kind of attempt to kind of buy himself a bit of time.
He used a lot of words and didn't say anything.
I think he was just trying to buy himself a bit of time. Like I said, it's quite clear the manager's gone beyond the point of no return here. But he wouldn't. But by not coming out and saying that and agreeing with the support on this one, I think it just adds, as I said, a layer of frustration and apathy to what's already a pretty bleak picture. Yeah, I think unless he's coming out and saying, "Listen, it's time to let him go," I think there's not a lot he can really say really, because he can't promise to give him lots of money in this window either, because he's clearly not going to be around next season. So you're not going to be handing out contracts to guys left, right, and centre in January for 2 and 3, 4 year contracts when you know the manager's in big bother. He's probably not going to be around next year.
But that's a strange one. That's a strange one, Mick. And I'll tell you for why. Because we heard Clement, I think, before the game today, it might have been after, saying that the scouting department have come to him with a list of names, and he said, "I like that one. I like that one. I like." So it's not the manager's. Ultimately, yes, if he's got a list of names, then he's the guy that says, "Yeah, make that priority number one" or whatever. But Rangers are trying to run this as two separate entities, almost, isn't it? The sort of the guys that find the players and deliver the players, and then you've got a coach who coaches the players. So in terms of would they be prepared to buy a player in January to take a long-term view, I'm not sure that whoever is in charge as the manager matters if that's the way that they intend running their player trading model.
Yeah, I take the point, but reading the comments from the chief executive yesterday, it didn't sound like there's going to be a massive amount spent in January.
No, they're not getting any money, have they?
I think they're looking at maybe a couple of loan deals I would expect to come in. They're not going to. So it's not going to be a massive expenditure in the next few weeks. That's for sure. I find that a wee bit strange when you look back at the timeline. I think Patrick Stewart was kind of either announced or was about to be announced the kind of weekend of the Dun United draw that looked a bit end of days at that point. And I think it was due to start a few. So that was the announcement of the gig, and I think he had a few weeks before he started. And you think, well, that period, obviously things picked up a wee bit. So it might have. I think at that point in time, he must have known that I'm walking in either to no manager or having his first job being sacking a manager. Obviously, his first day was the day after the cup final when they actually played pretty well and lost in penalties. Had done well against Spurs, and it looked like a kind of a corner had been turned a wee bit at that stage. Fast forward another 2 or 3 weeks, it's all gone to pot again. But he must have known that one of his early jobs was going to be to decide the fate of the manager. So to kick the can down the road now seems a wee bit strange to me, because things haven't got any better in the last kind of 2 or 3 weeks than it was at the time when he came out, when he was given the job.
Well, it's worse, Mick, because now you've
he was a goner.
Yeah, but now you've got fans actually walking out the stadium.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's got worse. The situation has deteriorated.
So there's a bit of me thinking that he's talking about doing a starting a review on Monday. Well, it's now been a month in the line, and we've had this even last year there was talk about reviews and all that stuff. I don't know. I think that's one of there's a lot of big decisions required at Rangers from top to bottom, but the dugout looks a pretty easy one to me. But at the same time, I can understand they might want to just give himself a bit of room to kind of sort it all out. And listen, we don't know the financial implications as well of getting rid of another management team.
But he did insist that financial consideration wouldn't be the driving factor when it comes to the manager. He said that. He's gone on record as saying that. Yeah,
but that's not something you're ever going to admit. You can't afford to sack the gaffer. Do you know what I mean? That's not something you can't ever admit in public, because it means that you want to sack him, just can't pay up. So that's not something you're going to get me cough any point in time. So it's just a bit. It just seems like now that the whole club is in kind of stasis, isn't it? Just waiting to see what's next. Did the fans need to wait for this review? It's going to take 4 to 6 weeks to find out. To be told what at that point. Then the managers, what happens if he picks, like you say, it picks up, result against Manchester United, and things start looking a bit better again. Then they go to Tynecastle and get beat, or they go to Tannadice and get beat, and it's back to square one. It just seems to me that a kind of a holding pattern that can't really be maintained.